Welcome back to another episode of Project Management for Small Business. Today I'm very excited to have with us Danielle Wallace, owner of Beyond the Sky Custom Learning Solutions. Danielle is a learning and development professional that provides custom learning solutions that are engaging, innovative, and effective. Some specialties from Beyond the Sky are microlearning, virtual classrooms, e-learning, mobile learning, and many more. Danielle likes to model herself after people who set goals for themselves, work hard, and share benefits with others. Danielle is no stranger to delivering world-class quality solutions quickly. She also values collaborative work where she is known to bring innovative and learning-centered solutions. She has helped many global and national clients, including Bank of Montreal, Canadian Red Cross, and EGAL Human Rights. My conversation today brings a lot of value for those that are just starting out as entrepreneurs, as well as those that are doing it on the side. So let's get started. Hi, Danielle. I'm really excited to have you on the episode today for Project Management for Small Business, and for the listeners to get to know your business, how you started, and what you're doing. So if you want to give us just a quick background of your company and what it does, and then we'll go from there. That'd be great.
Thank you so much for having me on the show today. What we do at Beyond the Sky Custom Learning is create custom training for a variety of organizations across North America. So we provide customized training on whatever topics that our clients need. We have the specialty of bringing whatever those topics are to life through e-learning, classroom learning, mobile learning, and other means.
How did you get started in doing this? And it's just for full disclosure, you and I have worked together, so I understand what you do, but how did you get started doing it?
So I looked throughout my whole career and about 10 years ago, and I saw what were the things that actually made me happy, what actually made me tick. And I realized all throughout was always providing training to people. So when I was younger, I had a dance company that when I was in high school, and I loved teaching people. When I was in the corporate world, I was always doing training of other people on the side, even though it wasn't my core role. And I thought the higher I could get up in the company, the more I could train people. But actually, the more I just had profit and loss pressure. So I decided to just plunge in to do what I love, which is this training component, doing training.
So what makes you so passionate about doing training?
For me, it fulfills my own mission. So my mission statement is to be a conduit for development. And this has been a mission statement for like the past 20 years, well before I started my business. I really want to help others grow and learn through continual development. In the corporate world, I could do that through coaching and these training pieces I spoke to. But now I'm just so privileged to be able to do this every day. And that's like directly what I do. Me and the team create learning solutions that actually help people gain new skills. So directly I'm helping people every day gain the skills they need to be successful in their career.
That's something that I find that I'm very passionate about, is especially with project management. And I think that's why I got into teaching, because it helps the next generation of project managers have the skills that they need, and then be able to use them to help others, which is kind of passing on the torch a little bit, I guess, is the way you can look at it, and hope that you make a little bit of difference in somebody's life. And when I see a student actually grasp a concept, I think that's the moment that I'm happy, because it's like you can see the click, like, oh, I get it. I think that's what makes me most excited and most feel rewarded when I teach, other than completing the whole semester. I just really enjoy helping them finally get the concept.
Yeah. I love just helping make an impact and actually helping people improve their lives.
How did you get started? How long has your company been in business?
So we've been in business for the past 10 years, and since then have had tremendous growth.
So how did you, what was that deciding moment when you're like, okay, I'm done, I'm going out on my
own? For me, it was this as a night job and then my day job. So trying to do both squeezing in both, so doing my night job in the night and while commuting, and all the various odd hours. And then finally, one of my clients at the time doing this night job said, Danielle, we have a problem here. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like here I am, like trying to do my day job, night job, crazy hours. I'm like, oh, okay, what is it? He's like, well, we need to be able to accrue this spending in our budget for this project you're currently working on, which will span a fiscal year. So we need an accounting way to we need to be accruing this work, and we would going to need you to work on this project, like to continue working on this project, and we're going to need you to handle the budgeting accrual aspect of this. I mean, I'm sorry from an accounting standpoint because it's not fun to be doing that accounting work, but can you do this? Can you help us out? I'm like, oh wow, sure, of course, because right then and there that was more than my annual salary. So right then it was the final push to be like, okay, I should actually finally quit my day job and pursue my passion, which was my night job. And what the risk aversion in me that was holding me back was like really like banging me in the head. Okay, like come on, if you don't see it now, banging in my head like, hey, it's time to just go on your own. You've got no more excuses.
I think a lot of people have that risk aversion of doing it, and that's what holds a lot of people back. And I think people do need that hit over the head sometimes that, like you said, this is what makes you happy. And I think too many people don't follow that, or they are afraid to follow it.
Yeah.
And it does take that one moment. My moment was like just being in an awful situation with an employer that was wasn't the best employer to work for. And it was at the moment is like, I can't work for this employer anymore. So resigning and then deciding that why not? I've been wanting to do this, so I've got the time. And everybody has some kind of moment that is that point. And hopefully too many people sometimes let that moment slip by and don't look at it.
Yeah. So true. So true. And especially let it slip by and keep going when things are fine, when the work is good. Like my day job, the work was great. I had a great autonomy, I had a good culture, a good manager. Like it was fine. Like there wasn't any reason why I should quit. So it could be so easy to stay complacent and not take that plunge.
And not take that and finally take the risk and look at it and face it.
Exactly.
Head on. So how did you keep track of everything? Well, first of all, when you were working two jobs, this as a night job and a day job, because a lot of entrepreneurs do that. They start out working their passion on the side. How did you keep track of ensuring you met your schedule in the evenings as well as what you needed to do during the day?
Yeah. So one of the things I learned from my past work was how to manage a project in general terms. I'm not a PMP, nor do I have any certifications like that. But in my past roles, I've had to manage a team and manage big projects on a more informal basis with the end goal of getting everything done on time. So like a lot of entrepreneurs, I have my Excel spreadsheet, use that to keep track of what needs to be done. I keep a separate list for my priority matrix, which I still use my own, use with my team in the corporate world, I've been using forever, based on Stephen Covey's priority matrix of urgent, important. And then also have another document I use back then in the corporate world, still use today, which outlines my A, B, and C tasks. So a combination of all three of those helps me to ensure I'm focusing on the right things. Of course, day job, night job, but keeping those really distinct. So those are actually two separate pieces, doing day job during day job hours. But having a record of everything that needs to be done, oh my God, it's essential. Otherwise, you can't keep track.
How did you manage? Okay, I'm asking this because you had the day job, you had the night job. How did you manage your clients during the day that you, like if you had now you don't work for that other day job, so if you had to sneak away and, that's a good answer. But how did you keep like meetings with them if you had your day job?
Oh wow. So part of it was working on a project with Asia. So I'd have meetings at 7:30 in the morning during my commute before I started my day job. So the time difference worked in my favor. That worked out well. For local clients, would have meetings over lunch, and lunch times. Yeah, and there wasn't so many meetings. I didn't have so many projects, so it was doable, I'd say. I couldn't do that now, but was able to get like work done and then handle meetings carefully planned in advance, planning everything in advance. I still to this day plan all my meetings in advance. I needed to then because I couldn't just accept a meeting if I had a day
Yeah.
job. I had to actually think about when's it lunch break or when is it break. Then that stays true to me now, where I just need to plan my meetings in advance.
So that's a good piece of advice. If you're gonna do that, if you're going to have an evening or a side job that you want to explore, scheduling in advance and keeping good track of that is going to be essential until you can do what you did and say, okay, I'm done. This is my full-time job.
Yeah. And this whole
Because
idea of the side hustle is so topical, especially with our gig economy now and such. But I'm also aware of if people have day jobs, they also need to keep their day jobs as well.
yeah, I saw somebody call it a sidepreneur. Where I hadn't
Yeah,
really heard that term before, so somebody coined sidepreneur, the term sidepreneur for working on the side, I guess, entrepreneur on the side.
I like
So
it.
what kind of tools besides Excel have you tried to use that did not work for you or maybe did work for you very well and you still use?
Yeah, so I started off using Excel, the same tools I used back in the corporate world, timelines and such. The biggest thing that was essential for me and the others I was working with was having a clear timeline, and likewise visibility with the client to know what's happening and when. Internally, I also started using Asana at the time, looking at all the variety of free tools that are out there. Asana was great as a free tool. There's a number of them, but the features for a small business starting out is quite exceptional. In particular, it was good for the social collaboration on a project. What it was lacking for me, though, was reporting. I realized I needed in-depth reporting to know how I was tracking on a per project basis, given the variety of projects and given what any, but in particular my needs for a software product could release. The QuickBooks, for example, that couldn't provide me the reporting I needed. Um, I really needed project management reporting software. So to that end, did a full audit, tried out a whole number of tools to see what could be useful from a time tracking, reporting, and project management standpoint, and landed on a tool called Avaza, which has great reporting capabilities that I need, time tracking, which I need, um, a timeline, which I need. It's lacking on social collaboration, but I can just use email for that. So for me, that's been good at helping to just meet the project management needs and at an affordable price. And for a company that's scaling up, it's been great for my needs.
I think a lot of people look at project management and start thinking that they have to spend a lot of money in the beginning, and they don't. You can find, like you said, there's a lot of good, inexpensive or free tools out there for small companies,
Yeah,
and that you can do all that. But then again, like you said, there's even this Avaza lacking the social networking or the communication portion of it, the collaboration. You can't. It seems like something is always lacking in
yes,
something.
totally.
And
And
if you could like take different software and bring them together,
yeah,
it'd be great. But I think a lot of people, and I've had this conversation before, that people, these companies start looking at what they need and they build what they need and then they try to sell what they've
yeah,
built, but it doesn't always fit everybody.
no. I had also though even looked to the extent of customizing what I needed, which was reporting by project, and looked at that route, which is really cost prohibitive. I don't recommend entrepreneurs do that. Um, but that is another route based on whatever your needs may be. And secondly, I would say also just being aware that no matter what the software is, there may be things you, again, like you say, are lacking, or things that you have that you don't need. So there's a lot in Avaza that I don't use at all. It's irrelevant for my needs.
Yeah.
But that's fine because I'll pay for it because it has what I need.
When you decided to start doing your side job, and this kind of goes back to being an entrepreneur, what was something that motivated you to want to do that, to want to have your own business?
Oh, so for me, I think it is started at an early age. So when I was younger, as I mentioned, I was 16 actually. I started my own dance studio. So that idea of entrepreneurism was there. In university, I joined the entrepreneur club before entrepreneurship was cool. The club folded actually because there just wasn't enough interest. Started an IT company with my brother. We were at the time Intel certified processor dealers. And I remember attending a conference. He was 12, like I was 17. We attended their conferences. I wore like my mom's suit jacket. He's 12. He doesn't have a suit jacket. We just attended there. The free food was great. That was nice. But we attended the conference. It was good. I still have the resources from that conference, actually. Like, it was actually really good. It was all about starting a business. It was for established businesses, but growing your personal brand and how to grow that business. It was really good. And here we are, these two little kids going around, maybe eating
They're
too much
asking
of the
you where your
cookies.
parents are.
Yeah. We came across as pretty presentable. We tried to with my borrowed suit and his like white shirt. Again, back in the day before, yeah, entrepreneurship wasn't cool. It wasn't things kids did. It was a different time. And that helped fueled where I am today, the company we started together, me and my brother. And then he has his own company in Asia in the IT space, and then me in my space of training and development. So fueled by our own internal innate interests, not fueled by our parents, but interesting how we both came to be entrepreneurs in our own spaces.
So is there like a book or a resource that you go to or that you think is something key that people starting their own business should know about? A website, some kind of something that you really like keep up on, or
Yeah. So some good basic websites that's available and is applicable with Canadian content is actually BDC, the Bank of Development Canada. Their mailing list, they send out useful resources such as ebooks and articles that are good for a small business starting out. So within that start out and growth stage, the early stages, their resources are excellent and free. From a general small business standpoint, again, those who are starting out, I highly recommend they tap into the existing government resources. So whether it's their municipality, province, or nation, the country government, there's a ton of resources out there, especially for emerging businesses that are just starting. I found this out too late in the game, but there is not only access to grants, but access to mentors, business plan templates, financing, the whole world. There's a lot of resources out there. And the challenge that these organizations have is that people aren't using them enough. So think about that. The
that's good.
government at its collective levels is encouraging small businesses to establish and to grow. They're offering money, they're offering support, and people aren't taking them up on it.
It's
So
amazing, yeah. And everybody, it's amazing how many people will put down government for not supporting them, but then there are things out there that they don't use.
yeah, there's a lot out there, I'd say. Otherwise, I'd say a key thing is to not only get acquainted with the entrepreneurial community to see what's there as resources for your own network and help with growth, but in particular, looking for other individuals who have the expertise that you don't have. This is essential as an organization is growing. So once you pass the startup stage, you can make money, you can quit your day job. It's essential at this point to actually look to other experts to help you. because as an entrepreneur, it's impossible to do it all yourself. You can't be the person doing the year-end tax accounting and the incorporation, articles of incorporation documentation, or the legal aspects, or even the project management. So these are all things people think, hey, I can do bookkeeping enough, or I can do a spreadsheet with a timeline. I can do it myself, but I can't stress enough. This is the point in time with which to seek a project management expert to be able to rapidly, as an entrepreneur, allow the entrepreneur to focus on the best leverage items for their time, and have the expert in project management, as the case may be, or tax accountant, as the case may be able to excel in theirs. And honestly, they'll do it much faster than you as an entrepreneur could to do it all. You just can't do it all.
Yeah, too many people try to do it all. I know there are things that I can do. And also another thing is to get rid of, I think, things that you don't necessarily enjoy doing.
Yes.
Because if you don't enjoy doing it, you're going to procrastinate.
Yes.
And then you've got all these things that you have to do at once, and then you dread doing them. So I think it's like, even if you can do it, if you don't enjoy doing it, find somebody that does enjoy doing it and let them.
Exactly. And it creates a great win for everybody. Then I think of some of the great team members I have who I'll bonk my head trying to align things properly in a training piece, or get some of the period the right shade of gray. But I have other people who thrive on that attention to detail on those types of projects, and they love it. So being able to think about your organization in that way, about enabling roles for many people, as the case may be, and when the time's appropriate, is critical. A lot of people, I've got other entrepreneurial friends who will only think small, like, well, I can't get an assistant. I'm the only financial planner. Like, I can't do that. Or I'm the only whatever. It's just me. And then being burdened with some of the aspects of project management that they hate, but being stuck with project management when it's not really their passion.
Yeah, exactly. So another question for you then, what is your next goal? Where do you want to go next?
So where I want to go next would be broader growth in the organization. I really enjoy working with other people, and that part actually really fuels me. I don't want growth for the sake of growth, but I love working with others in a team, and I like being able to help other people reach their financial goals and their work goals. We talked about people doing what they love. That's what I really like. So I'd like to see more growth and having great team members being able to do what they love. Um, so to enable that end, it also enable us as an organization to benefit more learners, people learning more as well, and being able to acquire the skills that they need to be successful.
When you think about that, because being an entrepreneur, do you ever envision yourself? I've talked to different entrepreneurs that, like us, work out of their house or work remotely. Do you ever envision having an office, or do you like what you have now?
I think it's all based on what's best to meet client needs. So it all comes down to what's best to meet client needs, and then likewise what's best for the people I work with. So depending on how circumstances may be, adaptable to that. Um, but I would like to. A lot of people I work with like the freedom of working from home, and
Yeah.
likewise clients like me to be on site at their place. They don't actually want to travel to my office. So as the times may be adaptable, but really it comes down to being what's best for the client.
Good. So do you have any piece of advice that you would want to give? I mean, we've talked about your different resources that you like, but like a personal piece of advice to somebody that's thinking about starting out or has an interest in being an entrepreneur, taking on the different roles. What would a piece of advice that you would have to give to them?
Oh, the first piece of advice would be to have a business plan. Not necessarily like sexy and fun, but it's essential to actually have a plan of where you're going to go before jumping right in.
Mm-hmm.
I have worked with past colleagues who so I've worked with a number of other people who have tried to start businesses, but then didn't quite work out, and then went back to the corporate world, which is fine. Great learning experience. See, hey, does it even resonate for you? Do you even like working by yourself, or with others remotely, maybe, or with clients and securing clients? So good in a learning experience standpoint, but if ultimately the goal is that, hey, it just didn't work out financially and I just don't have a good idea, that could have eliminated in some of my friends' occasions some of the financial impact. If deciding, hey, actually, I shouldn't have just left, I shouldn't have gone out. I should have just honed my business plan, gotten the right idea first. So at least I knew which direction I was going in. So being able to have the business plan is important because it at least enables you to have a direction with which to go through.
Mm-hmm.
And at least be able to articulate what it is you're selling. Because at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, you need to sell something. So being able to have that business plan helps you guide and articulate that.
And a lot of the selling is selling of yourself.
Yeah.
You have to be able to sell yourself. And
Yeah.
you have to know, and if you don't have the business plan, you don't know what your business is, you don't come across as very confident when you're trying to sell yourself as part of that business.
Besides building up a network of other experts than yourself as the company grows, I would say coupled in with that is establishing yourself that own network of other like-minded people. Mm-hmm. So as an entrepreneur starting up, it can be lonely if it's truly yourself, working with yourself by yourself. And a lot of people have a need not only for social interaction, which varies by person, but people generally have a need for outside advice or someone to bounce ideas off of, or something to avoid that feeling of pure isolation. To that end, I have developed and am so fortunate to have a great network of people in a similar situation to me in the industry, and we're there for each other to be able to bounce ideas off of, to be able to read over even proposals and such, just as like true colleagues in the industry, doing projects with each other, and it emulates that feeling you have of being colleagues in a corporate setting or the paid full-time gig world. You still can have that. I've just had to create it manually since it doesn't come organically.
I think that actually plays well back to looking at your local municipalities for you were talking about having mentorship opportunities and all that. I think if you don't have that ability or you don't have that network, that was a good piece of advice as well, is to look into that, because that can help you get that network.
Absolutely.
Help you build it if you don't have that readily access to it, or if you're some people I know. I think when you and I first met, I said one of my goals was to make myself network more, and I do that. But I think if you have that adversity to going into someplace new, that something like that mentorship program can actually help.
Yeah, and there's a number of ways with which to enable that. The mentorship program idea, the various resources that are available, and communities that are available through these government types of organizations. Some of those are online if you're in a more remote area, but for a lot of the major urban centers, they have offices. They actually have offices. Each province, each major urban center has its own office. And then some of them, such as the City of Toronto, have really good workshops that are in person, are free or nearly free. And the topics are incredible. So useful things that are near free on how to create your online presence, how to do social media, how to do finance, how to do financing, how to do accounting, what legal aspects you should consider, how to import, export. They have it all, and at a very affordable price. For regions outside of Toronto, they also have similar types of programs, albeit on a somewhat smaller scale, and often affiliated with local libraries. So there's like really no excuse for not being able to get out there and meet somebody somehow. Likewise, Chamber of Commerce and Small Business Association for each municipality also has a lot of really good resources.
If people want to find you, if people want to get a hold of you, how would they do that? Where are you most active?
So you probably best reach me on LinkedIn. So Danielle Wallace, Toronto, Canada, on LinkedIn with Beyond the Sky. My LinkedIn profile is linkedin.ca/Danielle Wallace. But I'm the one that's in Canada. And otherwise, I can be reached by email at danielle.wallace@beyondthesky.ca.
Okay. Anything else that you would like to say before we sign off? I appreciate you being on today. So.
Yeah, glad to. So the last thing I would say is seize the opportunity to benefit from the resources that are available out there for new entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs who are scaling, and likewise the people, those experts that you are hopefully cultivating in your community. And all that can ensure that your own business is successful.
Okay. Thank you. That's great advice. I appreciate it. And I will link to you and your website and everything in the notes of this podcast, so people will be able to find you easily.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Project Management for Small Business. If you want to be on the podcast, or if you have a question you'd like answered on the podcast, please go ahead and get in touch at pmforsb@pavproconsulting.com. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'd love for you to leave a review if you like what you hear. And I'm very happy and proud to be one of FeedSpot's top 15 project management audio podcasts. Check out the link that's listed in this episode. And until next time, thanks for listening.